I'm done with power bars, man. I was just thinking about it. I'm done with the power bars. It's processed. I look at every one, the ingredients. I can't find a good one. The ones that I saw have only like 3 or 4 ingredients in there. It's like chewing on a piece of taffy. You know the ones I'm talking about. I'm like, I can't even stand it. I'm thinking to myself, what's the best one? I don't think any of them are good for you. Now,
yeah, I'm not going to argue. Yeah, I'm never going to argue they're good for you. I think that's just like a substitute of like a little supplement of like protein toss in. The ones I like the One bars that are plant-based One bars, so they don't have whey in them. But they have that. There's artificial stuff in them, but the fiber is high quality. We've looked at all these different things before too. They taste good. They're not necessarily good for you, but I don't think they're necessarily bad for you. But they're definitely not something that you could, sustain livelihood on. It's just like a little supplement, a little snack, and then move it on.
Okay, but that's the thing. I mean, some people say they get like an upset stomach from it, all the different ingredients, and I'm thinking like, yeah, wait a minute, like I didn't even know if this should be an option. And I know you and I travel a lot, we're on the road, so like pack.
Well, so here's the difference though. This is the thing. It's like for me, like, okay, if I go flying Delta, I go to the Sky Club, I get a banana, and I'm not gonna really eat anything they have there for the most part. Unless it's like breakfast, I get like a hard-boiled egg or two. Like I don't eat anything else they're gonna give me. So if you have a connecting flight or something, like it's either my body doesn't eat and I'm wasting away, or I eat like a plant-based protein bar. That's where now granted I'm sitting in my house, so I didn't need to do this, but I just decided to do it anyway. But that's usually like they are supplementary to trying to eat, and a lot of times just because there aren't better options for us.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And then Dalen and I used to do a bunch of games together, and then I'd always see him with the banana, and I'm thinking to myself, banana right here. But you know what? I'm having a banana every morning for breakfast. Like, I'm like, I got to tell Dalen. I'm like, I'm having a banana. I'm like, I got to eat healthier, and I'm doing it. And speaking of plant-based protein, I have a plant-based protein powder now, and I have a shake every morning. So that is my
Which one do you go with? Because we don't. We're trying to find another plant-based one we like. We've tried a couple different ones. We're not finding. What do you use?
Yeah. So I just got the Vega. It's a VEGA Vega.
You like that?
Protein powder. But then the other one I got was like Garden of Life, I think it's called.
Yep, we've had that one before, yeah.
Garden of Life, yeah. So I've only tried those two, but I'm gonna do something on these because it's funny, but being a New England fan and all that, you know this. I started following like Tom Brady and then now, and he has this like plant-based protein powder, and who doesn't want to be like Tom Brady, right? So I'm like, I gotta get this plant-based protein powder. Now I'm not paying for his plant-based, so I said all right, and I went to Amazon and I found that I think the Garden of Life it's called, and then the Vega, but they're both really good and like 30 grams of protein. So every morning, you'd be proud of me, I get my protein shake, get my banana. I'm thinking I'm on the right track here now, and I've lost 2 pounds. Buddy, since
good for you, man. Good for you.
So I'm working on it. So.
Nice, man. Nice.
Hey, what ended up happening for you from like the studio side of things? Because I'm on the road. I'm doing games here in the studio all the time. College basketball. What a completely abrupt ending, right? To everything. I'm like,
we were actually in Greensboro during the ACC tournament, and we were on air right before Gobert tested positive. They went into a game. Gobert tested positive. I think it was Syracuse, North Carolina. And we had to come out and say we just kind of went through it with everybody else. Like, there'll be no fans tomorrow. ACC already announced that. Well, we actually have games, blah, 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 blah. And then the next day, Swafford was on the radio show I was on. It was myself. Then Billis was on, then Swafford was on. And we're all there. And I'd said, we're not going to play. I don't see how you play. Billis and me are talking off air. Billis goes on to the same thing. Swafford comes on and says, we're playing. Like, we're playing. And we were just like dumbfounded. I'm like, how's this possible? And then within like 45 minutes of that statement, Nova and Creighton, I think, were on the floor. They pulled down Nova and said, whoever's on with Creighton, whoever's on the floor of the East tournament, they get pulled. ACC tournament cancels. And then we were like scrambling them just to get on the flight that night. And that was it. We were pretty much a wrap there. We do a bunch of different, like ACC Network will do a bunch of different social shows and different interviews I've got to do and stuff like that. But I mean, college hoops is pretty much a wrap. And I do all these radio hits, but like that was, as soon as that happened, we were just done from a TV standpoint. Weird.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I'm thinking, and you could sit here, right? We could talk to everybody and their grandmother about, hey, what's it going to be like? What's going to happen? And then a month later, something changes, and there's an entirely new, system there are plans in place. So and I don't want to like forecast, but the thing I would say, and I want to know if you agree on this, is that, okay, even if we are getting back a little bit, they don't want the fans to be there, or we're going to have limited fans. I mean, do you even honestly think this season, whether it's like a football or college basketball, that's even going to resemble anything close to what we're used to? Like, I mean, I don't even know if we're going to see 100,000 fans in a stadium for football, or even the 15, 20,000 packed basketball arenas until next season. I mean, what do you think about that? Or next year, maybe?
Yeah, we're not going to have I don't think we're going to have fans in the stands next year. I don't think that's for football or basketball. I think you're going to try to control the environment to actually have things happen. So for football, I do imagine it's going to be a little piecemeal, where it's going to be some conferences are able to do it, some are not. I mean, throughout the country right now, everybody's got different hotspots, different outbreaks, different scenarios. Like I'm up here in the tri-state area in Connecticut, being close to New York. Our situation is way different to my buddy I was talking to who's in Pittsburgh, or people like Farnham. I was talking to Sean Farnham from ESPN this morning, who's out in LA. Like everybody's got different circumstances they're living with, and all these schools have different circumstances. The bottom line is for the schools, though, they still want and need to make money. There have been school presidents that have said, we can't sustain our livelihood as an institution without having students on campus, without being, here to fund, to really have society roll as a normal collegiate institution. Tuition, board, books, room and board, all those things need to be paid at a level to make sure the institutions can run. Within that is football, obviously. Most importantly, football has to be able to operate the athletics department across the board. So I think that's going to drive this decision, along with how each region in town is doing. So with that said, I think you're going to have the SEC schools. A lot of those states in the southeast part of the country have not been hit that hard. I think the importance that football remains culturally for the SEC in particular, and the money that conference generates. I can see the SEC playing football for sure. I can see the Big 12 playing football. I could see the ACC in some institutions being able to go, and maybe some won't go. This is a little conjecture right now. This is not inside information necessarily as it relates to the ACC particularly. It's me just kind of looking at the landscape, talking to some folks, wondering what people would do. But I think football takes place in some form and fashion. Schedules would have to be altered, and they would have to find a way to fulfill their media contracts on the TV side to make money, and also be able to put together a product that can, in a situation where the players can be safe. And that's the biggest question, is I don't know how you contain that. As we see the NBA trying to figure it out, we see European soccer leagues trying to figure it out right now. The Bundesliga, Germany's league, is coming back this weekend. The professional environment is different. Those dudes are paid. You sign a contract. This is your obligation. If we're going to play and it passes muster with the Players Association, we're going to work, and they got to figure it out. College sports is way different. As we do know, they are not technically paid athletes, so they shouldn't be put under the same strain and the same potential harm. To what end? The what end is money. People don't want to say that, but that's just the fact of the matter. I'm interested to see how those conversations take place. I think this is a really important month for both pro and college sports to see where society moves and what they can actually do as we encroach onto June.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, still just like a ton of questions out there, but I mean, I agree. It's going to take probably a little bit before we get the fan base. So to me, it's like, okay, yeah, the SEC and all those leagues, they need their money. They want to have the people out there, but it's not going to be like they're used to. So, I mean, I don't know. Do they even, I'd say lose money, but, not having the fans and the revenue and the ticket.
Man, the TV contract is so big that you don't lose money, but you're losing the revenue. In-stadium revenue for the colleges is really, really important. And for those towns in particular, all those, whether it's Tuscaloosa or Gainesville or Tallahassee, I mean, that whole town is sustained through those 6-7 football games they get for months on end across all the different revenue, across all the different businesses in that town. So those are all going to be hit hard, and that's not going to change. But from an athletics department standpoint, if you actually can get your TV money, and for the SEC network in particular, the ACC network in particular, the Big Ten network, if they can fulfill their deals as well, those schools then have more money. They're making more money, and they're able to fund more of their sports down the line that actually can sustain this hit. But yeah, you're going to lose money of the revenue, but if you don't play the games at all and you lose it all, TV and in venue, I mean, that's catastrophic to athletic departments for years to come. And I think you would see significant cuts of actual programs because they couldn't sustain.
Copy that. Our ratings are going to be up, down. I mean, we got the ratings are going to be great.
I mean, if the Last Dance is any indication, that should be. It's like people are dying for content. Like, dude, I'm like legitimately. I like the Bundesliga, the German soccer league, and I've become kind of a Dortmund fan the last couple of years. Christian Pulisic, who used to play for them, now plays for Chelsea. but kind of broke in at Dortmund. I've always liked the way they've run their team since I really got into soccer about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I'm like pumped for this game Saturday. Like, they have a huge rivalry game against Schalke. Like, I can't wait for Saturday at 9:30 just to watch a game that I don't know the outcome of, that I'm excited to see what happens, the teams that want to be out there, and also want to see how they handle it. Like, coming in, are they going to come in the same tunnel like soccer always does? How are they going to interact with players? Is everybody wearing a mask? Like, how do they handle substitutions? Like, there's just so many interesting conversations to see, and the Bundesliga is the first one to do it on a major international scale. I know the Korean baseball league got going, and that's on ESPN. I do think the penetration soccer has globally is just way, way, way bigger, and I think many more eyeballs will be on that.
That was my favorite, man. He is like the biggest soccer fan I know. We'd be doing basketball games. I get like a soccer promo, and he'd be all over it. He'd comment after the promo and really have something intelligent to say. He was all over it. I mean, he'd be like, "Oh, here we go." So the Premier League and the EPL. I know that's I mean, talk about how big that potentially could be. Just for the world, and then kind of mentally getting back and feeling like, okay, sports are coming back. What's your take on that? And how big that could be if they restart up as well?
I mean, they have a really creative name in England for it called Project Restart. Really just excellent, branding there. But the more I read about that, and the Athletic in particular has done really good coverage about this, it's not where it needs to be. I mean, Germany, they handled it really is a reflection of how your society and country, in most parts, has handled the COVID-19 epidemic. Sometimes you're more fortunate how your cases were coming in, and sometimes how you actually responded, how you dealt with it. Germany's done a great job in terms of minimizing cases. They've reopened society in the last couple of weeks, and they're moving, as I mentioned, to the soccer matches starting this weekend. Spain and Italy hit harder, but they're trying to get their soccer leagues back on track as well. They're pushing to have their players out there in early June. England right now has been hit hard as well, and their response, from what you read, whether it's in BBC or different UK papers, has not been as ideal as you would like. And I think on top of that, the league itself has not handled their response very well. The league is too fractured because that league is the biggest league in the world from an economic standpoint. Their TV deals, so it's not just the UK. The US deal is $1 billion. Every different country that has these Premier League rights, it's a ton of money that they're making off this. So their situation is they have to play for the TV money. It's the same thing everywhere. But the problem is how they have promotion and relegation. So our sports in our country don't have that. But the bottom three teams in the Premier League that finished 18, 19, 20, they are relegated to the second division, the championship. And the top three teams in the championship, after a playoff system, I won't explain that all, they come up to the Premier League. Well, those people that move up, you're making basically $100 million more plus just for being in the Premier League. So those teams that are battling right now relegation, the bottom 5 or 6 teams, they don't really want to play. They want to try to null and void the season so they get to stay in the Premier League and they get to keep the money. Now, they lose the money this year, but they know that next year they're in the Premier League again. For them, they lose part of the money, I should say. They know that they have an economic benefit to not playing. So they're going to try to vote, and apparently they have a 70% rate of approval to pass whatever the legislation is to move forward the rest of the season. And I think they came out early this week and they said, we are solidarity, da-da-da-da. I just don't buy that. I think individual interest will peak more, and I think we'll have to wait and see how the clubs handle it. The UK government wants them to play. The people, they think it'll help the morale of the country. The players, though, are questioning how we play. They don't feel like the testing is up to par. They've had some different outbreaks in different places there in terms of some of the players on teams have gotten sick if they've gone back to training. So do the players actually want to play? And it's the same thing we were saying before. They're pros, though. But does the Player Association sign off on it? Is the testing where it needs to be? Do the players feel safe? Are they quarantined, too? That's a big question. Because the NBA wants to move to this quarantine bubble model where you don't interact with your family. It doesn't sound like the UK model is that much of a bubble. And that's the problem. There are players who are like, my wife's pregnant. I can't go home to my wife, or I'm not going to see my wife. I know they have way more questions they have unanswered and handled it way more poorly than other countries in Europe that are trying to move forward. That said, the EPL is the most important one in terms of its global effect, its global eyeballs, the money. And I feel like they're at a disadvantage compared to the other ones right now.
Well, and to your point, too, I mean, that could be like the last thing we all need is that all of a sudden this starts back up again and somebody contracts the virus again. I mean, it's just like what happened with the NBA. As soon as the one guy, as soon as he got it, it's like, okay, that's it. And then you never kind of follow suit. I mean, I think that's part of their plan here, because we can't fool ourselves and think that
somebody's not going to get it.
Right.
Somebody is going to get it. The question is, what is the plan before that to go in? So if player A on Southampton gets the disease, it comes down with COVID-19, can you contact trace quickly enough? Do we know exactly, do you know who he's interacted with? Are they able to be tested every day? Can they be tested every day? Because that's what's going to be happening in Germany apparently. Every time you walk into a facility, before you walk into a facility, you are tested, you get your results, you can go in. And the plan of reaction to when somebody tests positive, what happens next? How do you quarantine that player? That's the question. And that's the issue that I think that they're struggling just to get with so many other questions answered, they being the EPL, before even really locking in on what that whole process will be like. Whereas Germany, they're on the precipice of playing. So that process is out there. The question is, when it happens, how are they actually going to respond? Does it create another outbreak, a flare-up? We don't know. And then how do you respond to that? Because you don't want to get to a place where you start to play again, but then you just shut down, to your point again. That helps nobody, and that just really endangered people to no end.
No, agreed. I mean, it's I don't know. I think we just got to wrap our arms around the rest of this year. It's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, we all want to get back, but that's the last thing we need to see happen, because then it just basically took all of this social distancing and shutting everything down and made it kind of all for naught. Unfortunately, let's say all for naught. But if all of a sudden we do this and it goes right back to being like, do this again, it would have been better had we not done anything until it literally got down to, which I don't know what that number is, but certainly not where it's at now, because it still seems a little touchy.
But see, Mike, that's where the whole thing is. What's interesting here, what's the cart before the horse? Because I'm not out here saying we should be out there playing right now, because I don't think we should. But even if it gets down to quote unquote zero or close to zero, soon as we do go back into society, no matter what happens, there will be an uptick in cases. Every projection says that. As we open ourselves up more in society, you're going to have more cases. The question is, can the healthcare system respond to those appropriately? Are we still mitigating and protecting the most vulnerable populations? Those are kind of the bigger questions more broadly. And then as everything, sports is always a microcosm of society. So are we able to handle those same things within the sports world we're talking about, and handle those same type of questions? Because as soon as you have those teams start interacting, the numbers are going to go up. They're going to be more, it can't stop. It's just question is, can we actually handle and do we have a response appropriate to deal with it? That bad, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. Hopefully this vaccine is, on here soon. I know it's going to be a while, but that's
the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question, and the $1 trillion proposition. Who produces that thing?
Yeah, I know. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Hey, I did want to get back to hoop for a quick second. So I want to get your take on this. Our colleague Jay Billis. I mean, I've heard what he said about this, but you were mentioning about professional. Hey, these guys are paid. College is not. Well, what's the deal now if we're moving forward? And I didn't agree with his point, but I want to see what your take was on this about players getting paid, in college with basketball or football based on their likeliness and, how big they are and, the car dealerships endorsing them and all that kind of stuff. Don't you think the rich schools or anybody with any money, if they even wanted to, let's just take where you went to school, for instance, like Columbia, right? What happens if they decided they just want to have a kick-butt basketball team and they had $50 million to spend, and they can literally go out and pay essentially the players they want to come to the school and turn them into a Final Four team? How is that okay in your opinion? And I don't care if it's being done already and that's kind of under the table. And now it's not illegal. Now anybody can do it. That's good. That's a good idea. That's just my thought on it. What do you got on that one?
Let me take a couple things. There's a couple different things there. First and foremost, 100% think that players should be able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. I think that's something that you should absolutely be able to do. I'm not Mr. Free Market. There should be no rules, but in this regard, for the swimmer, for the volleyball player, for the basketball player, at any school, if you have the opportunity to make a little bit of money when your value is slightly more elevated than anybody else's, you should be able to capitalize on that. Because if a kid can go play, can go dance, and this guy can play saxophone and make money, why can't I use my talent to go make money? That said, let's look at Columbia. If it is Columbia, it would never happen there. But there's a rich alum that wants to make the team good. You get kids with good enough grades, and you can pay the money. They go and they get to the NCAA tournament. They got knocked in the Sweet 16. What did that do for your business, though? Is the question. If you were a car dealership in Westchester, and would have sold you 100 more cars, then maybe that helped your business. Guess what? I don't think that's really going to happen. There's only a few people that are really going to turn dollars that make it worth investing massive money. It's still a business decision. I think at first you're going to have a bunch of alums at a bunch of different schools that want to pay some money, and then they look and go, what was my return on that investment? Okay, our team got to a bowl game, but we didn't win a championship, and I lost $1 million. And my product didn't, my sales didn't change at all. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of people do these type of crazy investments over time. And even if it is recruiting inducements, so say Kentucky, Duke, UCLA, the teams with the biggest recruiting bases, Mike, they're already the top of recruits every single year. Whether it's illicit or illegal or not legal, this going on, it doesn't matter. These blue chip programs have brought in the top players for the last 50 or 60 years. The stuff does not change. Now, if you allow somebody to have some money around that, would a Texas A&M spike up one year? Maybe. But in the end, it's like our college blue bloods are like kind of, they are part of society, and they're always going to have an innate advantage in their recruiting pitch to everybody else to come play for us. And people are going to come play for them. If somebody wants to spend a little bit of money to help try to change that, guess what? That actually benefits the player. If you really think that that's going to change the competitive landscape for the long term, I just don't see how that happens, because what you're doing too is you're taking recruiting and you're assuming that because these people pay X, that Y they will win, and Z the person that invests the money will make a lot of money back. I think those are two massive assumptions that don't necessarily make equal.
I'm with you, but people do this anyway, right? How about the alumni that give out all this money to get rid of the coach, and they say, well, I'm not going to give you your $3 million unless you fire, Bobby, and they go, okay, and then they fire Bobby, and then he gives them the money. I mean, they're just rich down, right? They don't care. They just want their team to be awesome. I don't even think they're really worried about what's in it for them. They're going to get their tickets. They're going to get their high-profile stuff, their behind the scenes, their autographs, whatever they want. They control sometimes what happens. So that's what I'm saying. What happens if the rich alumni at X school said,
but they still have to be attached to a product to sell the product. They can't just give the kid money. They got to be like, all right, it's a car dealership or whatever it is. At some point, you are sinking money. You're taking money from a business or from yourself, and you're giving it to an 18 to 22-year-old kid. Just being to earn that much money in your life or to make that much money in your life, you'd assume you'd had to make some good business decisions. At some point in time, the rubber's going to meet the road. Is this process actually returning in my investment? Probably not in most cases. I said, I just don't think that it's going to be like this free for all. We have all these programs investing millions of dollars for kids. I think honestly, you'll have 10 to I'd say maybe 25 kids can make six figures, maybe so mix between football and basketball, maybe max. You'll have a bunch of kids making maybe $20,000 to $50,000. Think about that, Mike. In college, it's pretty awesome. And then you have a bunch of like smaller school Olympics. Maybe a person like Katie Ledecky at Stanford would have been able to make tons of money as an Olympian and still swim there and make money as an upper name, image and likeness outside of the Olympics. Like there's all types of things that would benefit the athlete. I think the doomsday scenario that somehow the competition won't be pure, or we are weighting the balances are already weighted. The same teams are in the top 25 every year. The same teams get the best recruits every year. The same teams are the best facilities every year. Nothing changes here. What does change is that athlete that had a 4-year window to actually make a little bit more money on their ability is allowed to do that.
Okay, so two more quick things about this. So Zion Williamson, now I'm sorry, Texas was going to pay him $50 million somehow, some way. They'll figure it out. I'm not telling you it's got to be a car dealership. And he wants to go there now, so he's not going to go to Duke because they're going to pay him some more money. How many schools like, I had this recruit, but so-and-so paid him more. Okay, now how about this one? They're already –
Mike, that happens already right now. All under the table. That's
okay.
Just existing.
But how about these schools where, okay, so I'm X player and I'm averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds a game, and I only got $20,000 to come to whatever, and you are killing it. Your numbers are better than me, and you're not even getting any money. How about the player dissension now amongst players and schools and talking and tweeting things out like, I'm better than this guy, and he's already making all this money? You don't think that that's opening up a can with the players and their ability and how much they actually want to play? Now I'm transferring. Screw this. I'm not getting enough money here. I'm going to go there now.
Well, there's a couple things there too. It's not stagnant. So if I'm getting buckets, and it's the same thing. If the local restaurant sees me getting buckets and wants me to push their bucket of chicken, they can give me the money. These are ongoing endorsement deals. It's not just the recruiting inducement they're trying to keep out of it. I don't think that's realistic. I think they got to allow that to happen. That's going to happen anyway. So why try to protect that? In school, you're going to have opportunities just like right now. In this world, if Toyota wanted me to push Buicks or Toyotas, I could do that. As an ESPN announcer, whatever you want to do, like that could be my opportunity. The players have the same chance. So that stuff's all fluid. I wouldn't be mad that, I'm getting buckets and I'm not getting paid. Well, it's on me. I'm getting buckets. I can go get an agent. Let's get me paid some more money to do that. That said, the question you raise is the inequality within the locker room, which is clear. Like if you are the 10th man on the team and I am Trevor Lawrence and you are the 5th wide receiver, I'm going to get a lot of money. That's how it's going to work. You may not. Here's the difference, though. Now, in current construct, our current locker room, I'm still Trevor Lawrence. I still have everybody wants me to do everything for them on the media. I'm still the front guy on campus. I'm still the future face of the NFL. That doesn't change. The inequality is still there. It's just that not in terms of actually dollars and cents. I've been in locker rooms before too. Another piece of it is people come from money. Some kids can go out and spend their money and go to dinner and go wherever. And it's fine. Mommy and daddy cover it. There's some kids that can't and figure it out. Their inequality exists in society just as it does in our locker room. It's the same thing. How coaches manage that right now sometimes can be a little tricky. It will be harder for coaches. I'm not lying that there may not be some flare-ups in that issue. But overall, if everybody has the same opportunity to go make the money, I would turn to player number 10 and be like, dude, if you're better, you can go get money just like I'm getting money. We have the same opportunity, but maybe I'm just a little better than you. And guess what? That exists right now too.
Well, all I know is that after all this, I should have gotten some sponsorship money from the Olean Porsche dealership before Randy's up the river and had a huge battle in Golden Tee Golf. And I would have played better and I would have won because I got all this money and I would have been really geared up. And instead,
your Golden Tee game needs a lot of work. Let's just be real honest. I haven't played in 4 years and I torched you.
I sent Dalen like a screenshot from a Golden Tee game. I was on the road this past year. I had minus 12 or 14. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this, buddy? I don't even know if it's still going to be good enough to beat you. We got to get back to that at some point. So
sure, man. Olean, New York, a special place. Folks don't know St. Bonaventure University is up there, in the middle of upstate New York. We've had some fun and very cold times in Olean.
Dalen, I love going there now, actually. And I don't even know if anybody could say that. And I'm actually being honest. Look forward to that game every year because man, the crowd, the support, it's up there.
True.
Really going for basketball, obviously. It's an unbelievable environment. I mean, I'm not going to live there. I mean, that would get old after a while, but I mean, I like going up there. It's an adventure.
Yeah. And Coach Schmidt does a great job up there. He's a great coach. They've got a good program. You're right. When they're good too, their fans are all bought into the Bonnie. So it's a fun place for that 3 hours. Outside of Randy's up the river. I remember we went there, was the AFC Championship game. We couldn't even find the game on in like 3 places because nothing was open. It was like 7 o'clock on a Sunday. It was like the world had shut down. So, yeah, not my place to live, but, yeah, you catch a hoops game up there. It's pretty cool.
We find a few more restaurants now. So I've got a couple on my list. We were downtown. Our friends at the Beef and Barrel there, they actually remember me now because they see us on TV. So I came in. They gave us a free drink. We're starting to get well known up there.
Now you're capitalizing on your image and likeness. How about that?
Correct. That's what we're trying to do here. It's about heaven's sakes, what I've been talking about. Dude, great seeing you, man. I hope everything's well, and hopefully we get back to some sports action here soon. So
you too, man. If you want me to break down this weekend's round in the Bundesliga, just have me back. We'll go. Good day.
I'll get back to you on that.
All right, man.